Greetings, all my dreamers and dreamettes. It's your boy Mickey Fenty, aka Mickey Made It. If you're new to this channel, you know what to do to this channel. Subscribe right now. Also, if you want to support my brand, it's inspiredbydreams.shop. We got everything from the latest snapbacks, hoodies, everything to get your drip on. Original pieces. Okay, today's episode, this is very serious. Now we're talking about Gen Z and Millennials. And just a discussion between both, just having this little argument of how society is now and how society was before. And I think they have a point. So let's give them a shot, hear them out, and let's hear both sides and see what we agree with. Let's get it.
Was younger. If you didn't like your job or if you didn't like your boss, the bad news was you had to stay there for a year, because if you left in anything less than a year, you would hurt your CV. They would be like, why did you leave in under a year, you know? And now, particularly young people, there's no stigma to quitting, and it happens sometimes too quickly. Like, if you're confrontation avoidant, and I've seen it happen, I'm too afraid to ask my boss for a raise, so I just quit. Or I've been here for 4 months, I don't like the culture, I quit. Or I got in trouble at work, I hate my boss, I quit. I don't mind if something's super toxic, get the heck out of there. Most places are not super toxic. Imperfect, yes, but toxicity is like there's a standard, you know, and it's a high bar. Or this doesn't fit my values, or this doesn't agree with my politics, I quit. My fear is that if we flash forward 5 years, there's going to be a disproportionately high number of people who have 8 jobs in 5 years. And what's going to happen is an employer is going to look at them and be like, I can't take the risk that you're going to stick around. I'm not hiring you. You sound like an amazing candidate, but you're too high risk for me.
You want to know?
So basically what he's saying is, it's just the whole qualification and the trust in that person is going to go the length of the company. I don't know. That's shaky. It depends on how the company is treating that person in these times in society. Are they being compensated enough so they can live their life comfortable enough to want to wake up and work for you? I don't know.
Why millennials are so pissed off? It's because we were lied to. You told us if we put our head down, we did what was expected of us, we were yes men, we would be rewarded by our companies. And to be fair, I do work for a good company. I'm not trying to bash them. But we just had our end of the fiscal year town hall meeting in which I found out I got a 4% raise, and I should be happy because some people might not get any raise at all depending on their situation. Except I also got a notice today that my rent is increasing by 12%. Do you see how that doesn't add up well? 4% increase over a 12% increase, and that is just one bill. That is just rent. That is not food, gas, anything else.
We got to cut the millennials and Gen Z some slack, because this isn't ordinary. They are moving the goalposts so quickly on the middle class because of the housing. Even that slide you just brought up, someone making $77,000 cannot qualify for a $400,000 home. That's the first time that's ever happened in the past 50 years. So they're being forced to rent. It's eating up 50% of their income. 50 plus.
As time changes and businesses grow and communities should grow with businesses, as if the money is increasing, communities should be, people working for these businesses should be compensated.
+% say we're in a recession. 58% say the economy is getting worse. It's not. By all objective measures, it's getting better. People keep feeling worse. Why is that?
I think it depends on the age. $100,000 home and you have just property taxes and homeowner insurance for $600 a month, that is significantly better than a millennial or Gen Z are spending $2,500 for rent or $3,600 for a mortgage. So I think people under 40 are really feeling the stress about the economy, saying it's not good because housing's up, college is up, daycare is through the roof. But I think people over 60 who sit back and go, my 401k is looking good, my house went up 40%, the economy's doing well, groceries are high, but we can deal. So I think it just depends on the age, because the millennials and Gen Zs are the ones really struggling.
I cannot stand how the news has been dogging Gen Z and calling them lazy for not wanting to work a 9 to 5 for the rest of their lives. Let me put it in perspective for everybody who's a little confused here, okay? I work 5 days out of the week, 40 hours a week, okay? I do not make enough to live on my own. I would not make enough to pay rent, water, electric, and eat. All by myself. I would not be capable of doing that. 20 years ago when you were getting started, you could live on your own. 20 years ago when you first started, you were able to do everything that I am now struggling to do. me add another perspective here. You've been working for 20 years. You have 20 years of working experience behind your belt. You have 20 years of experience in a career that has allowed you to gain raises, to get more money, to profit you in an economy that you created. You could sit here and you can call Gen Z lazy all you want, but I've been working my tail end off just to barely make it by. And respectfully, I don't want to do that for the rest of my life. I don't want to work my tail end off, wasting all of my life working just to barely be able to pay my bill.
But this is my first job, like my first 9-to-5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me fucking forever to get there. There's no way I'm gonna be able to afford living in the city right now, so that's off the table. Like, duh! If I was able to walk to work, it'd be fine, but I'm not. So it literally takes me, like, I leave here, like, I get on the train at 7:30, and I don't get home till, like, 6:15 earliest, and then, like, I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, that's out the window. Like, I'm so upset. Oh my god. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just like the 9-to-5 schedule in general is crazy.
Studies show that the younger generation, so Gen Zs, are lower at problem solving, lower at independence, and lower at stress tolerance than any generation before them. Why? Well, the problem is society. We have phones now. Now you have information at your fingertips, right? We also have helicopter parents, right? A lot of you young people, we have these parents that want to give people the answers. Leaders, the biggest thing I teach leaders as someone who is constantly, leaders are always saying, what's the biggest issue? The biggest issues is leaders don't realize that they're teachers. And as a teacher, I know the answers to your tests, but if I give you the answers, you're not learning. And so the worst thing that parents or leaders can do with employees is give them the answers, because then you're creating this culture, as we've talked about, of dependence, that I need to ask my boss the answers. I need to rely on my parents. I need to trust Google. I can't rely on my own judgments.
I think what does bother me sometimes about our generation is that we are so sensitive. Like, we cannot take another opinion. We're sensitive to truth, because what is truth? Is there truth? My whole life, I've grown up in a family that says, to be loving is to be truthful. We have a generation who, if you're truthful, that's harsh. That's not loving. It is hard for our generation sometimes to take the Bible as is because they think it's harsh, it's truthful, it's offensive. So I do think that we need to not be so offended, not be so sensitive, and be willing to learn from people that are maybe smarter than us and older generations. We need to read, and we need to develop a strength and a maturity to be able to learn.
Gen Z has a massive problem. We all want to be millionaires, and yet we have a very skewed perception on how easy that actually is. Many Gen Z think that the internet is just a money printing machine, and so they'll fall for schemes like day trading courses, drop shipping, SMMA, Amazon FBA, etc. Many Gen Z distrust the education system as a whole, thinking that it's useless, thinking that college is a scam. And lastly, many Gen Z do not date at all, blaming the other gender for their lack of intimacy. There's no good men out there, everyone is bums, I'm just going to support myself and not date. Or there's no good women out there, women just want to use men for their money and sleep around. We're all incredibly impatient, and despite many of us wanting to be very, very successful, very few people want to put in the work to get there, and actually think that working a 9-to-5 somehow makes you a loser. Oh, and by the way, we do have it much worse than previous generations, because buying a house is now the most unaffordable it's been in American history, and in general, due to inflation and stagnating wages, it's become incredibly hard to live a upper-class lifestyle.
So you're telling me you think it's a good idea to not only draft all of Gen Z, but some of Gen Alpha, and then put them all together and then give them guns?
It ain't gonna work.
If I were the person writing that bill, I would fear for my own safety. And this is not because I think Gen Z and Gen Alpha are rogue generations. I think they're very smart and they're very revolutionary, and if you arm them to the teeth, it's your own demise. Like, what? Also, the reason women aren't usually drafted is because when you send an entire generation to war, you actually need someone who can repopulate your country. Not very capitalism of us.
Why is it that I have to work 40 hours a week just so I can have a place to live? 40 hours a week makes me $2,000 a month, and my rent is $1,660. So I work 40 hours a week so I can have a 2-bedroom apartment. I don't know what to do. I'm not made for this.
What I take from all of this is Gen Z is not going. They're not going with the traditional routes of getting money and being compensated, because the money that they're making is not enough for these times. And I think as times change and it takes more to buy things and the prices increase, I feel like people's salaries should increase the same. And man, we're having a lot of people with this. It's a financial problem as well as a worldwide problem of how we're gonna get this back together. So you guys let me know, what do you think? Is Gen Z, are they lying, or do they have some truth to it? What do you guys think on this whole situation? Is it society's fault? Whose fault is it? And can we get back to a place where we're all making money again and just being happy? I don't know. Until next time, it's your boy Mickey Fenty, aka Mickey Made It. If you're new to this channel, you know what to do to this channel.